Hello.
Are we on? Yes, we are.
Are we?
Let's take a glance
Hey,
at
what's up,
where
Johnny?
things are at. How is the
You're not
how's
still
the
watching
split
this
doing?
nonsense, are you?
Let's
Only
see.
1,000 blocks behind. It's still
Yeah,
alive.
all the math, all the thing we were talking about for weeks. I think this is pretty much what we predicted. Uh,
Yeah. I mean, this wasn't like mysterious to anybody except the Bippers, dude. Like, if
it
you weren't,
was surprising to me that, and I think part of it is, you're posturing for, evangelizing a point or an opinion, and you're galvanizing what support you can get. And then so I what was interesting was that after the split, and then pretty quickly, like that day, a number of people sort of were like, kind of like, good game. I mean, we still believe in what we believe, but Bitcoin's Bitcoin. Like, good game. You know, we're trying, we're voicing opinions here. We're trying to have discussions, but at the end of the day, gentlemen can disagree. And
yeah, but
but
this wasn't a gentlemanly disagreement. This was like,
well, you could say that too. There have been others that are like, nope. Well, what now, Luke? Well, we're going to change the proof of work. That's the only way you keep the short forks to survive, because they cannot, they won't get to a difficulty adjustment for at least a year or more, and
yeah.
there's not enough hash. So
Well,
it's
like,
sort
there's
of
no hash anyway, except for the one dude that's renting it. Like, you kind of go, who's mining that fork? Like, nobody, dude.
roughnecks,
Right.
and
At
yeah,
a significant financial strain. Like, you go, like, how long are you going to roughneck your way through that, dude? It's like,
yeah. So it was like quite predictable, and then so it happened, and then you see people. I've seen a gamut of response, and some are like, good game, moving on. Others are like, what? Like, no, don't the nodes have a voice anymore? If things are too centralized in the wrong way, and it's like, well, yeah, it's been that way. I mean, if that's
it's
what you're worried
never
about, like,
not been that way. Since modes and nodes and mining became a separate thing, it's never been that way since that moment. Since an ASIC showed up on the scene, the first ASIC that showed up and said, hey, we can just crank through these things way faster in your little GPU setup, we're going to start making Bitcoin that way. Then the second that nodes became spliced off, because people like get really confused and get wrapped around the axle of the white paper, and it's like, you understand when Satoshi was talking about nodes, he was talking about mining nodes. Like the idea of that whole process was you as a user would mine some bitcoins into existence, and then through your own node you would transact with another peer who's also mining bitcoins into existence, therefore monetary network, right? But that's not what Bitcoin does now, and it hasn't done that since ASICs. So right now you have miners mining, or hashers hashing, however you want to look at it, and then you have nodes validating and making sure that whatever they're mining fits the rules, right? And you can broadcast your transactions from your node, but you're just the notion that somehow nodes can force somebody to do something is just a fundamentally flawed idea right out of the gate, and it's not hard to technically disprove. And yet somehow that narrative seems to have latched on. Like, people are like, "Oh, nodes are in control," and it's like, they've never. Nodes were in control when they were miners. They're not miners anymore. I mean, there are miners that run nodes, but most people that are running nodes are not miners, and not miners that matter. Like, it's just, I don't know. It was a really,
uh,
really, really weird thing to watch. Like, people that are so convinced that they can, see the real truth, and they can spot the lies and all this kind of stuff, and they, their eyes are open and they're based or whatever. And it's like, oh, so but the second a new narrative comes along, you're just like, okay, I'll take this one instead. Num, 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 num. It's like, what do you? All right, okay, way to go, independent thinker who just like bounces around from authority to authority to authority with like no comprehension of anything else underneath it all. It's just bizarre, dude.
yeah,
Really,
and there's a
really
view
weird.
on, yeah, the voice, the impact, the authority being built on, the great men idea versus kind of doing the math on where the capital is, where the hash is. Even with miner centralization, okay, yes, these handful could collude and do things. We've got Foundry, Antpool, Brains, F2, Spider Pool, and then we see repeats on a lot of those. We got Mara in there. There's Mara. But okay, so like all of these blocks, there's Via BTC, Luxor, Secpool, but 4 or 5 of these are doing it 90% of the time, it appears. 95% of the time or more.
You gotta
So,
stop
yes,
scrolling that thing, dude. Please stop scrolling that. It's not good information, and it makes me motion sick.
So, okay, centralization. But
mining centralization has been known since ASICs, dude. Like, this isn't new. I've been posting about this for the last 2 years. Like, there are 2 hardware manufacturers that make all the ASICs. Like, you got a little BitAx sitting there. Like, that ASIC came off one assembly line.
yeah,
you got an S19 or an S21J or whatever it is, that came off of one assembly line. Like, and it's all in China. So you go, what are the chip competitors here? You go, oh, we don't have any. Oh, okay. So you're worried about miners colluding, and you go, you can't even verify the hardware stack that miners are using. So that's kind of a problem, obviously. And, what's it take to ramp up chip production if China just decides to stop selling those miners or bans them or whatever? Well, about 5 years. Oh, okay, cool. So what happens to Bitcoin mining? Well, we're just going to try and keep all our old junk running, assuming that the hardware vendor didn't install something that can brick them, just, some little microcontroller chip in there that can brick the whole thing just just in case, but you don't know. And everybody's aware of this, but right now the spam people have this like boner for spam. It's just like, but even if all those miners collude, that still excludes like all the economic actors in the space. Like BlackRock's not going to go along with like, hey, let's expand the cap. Kraken isn't going to go along with that. Coinbase isn't going to go along with that. Binance isn't going to go along with that. Every single exchange in the world would have to get on board with like, hey, we want to make the cap, or we want to add tail emissions, or we want to do this, or we want to whatever it is. Like, so it's not just like, well, miners are in control and they've showed it now. No nodes don't matter anymore. It's just like, it's just stripping away like every semblance of nuance in this discussion and boiling it down to like dumb slogans repeated ad nauseum as if it means something. Bitcoin money. No, it's like, okay, well, do you know what that means? Bitcoin money. Yeah. It's like, okay. Well, you're saying it like it's axiomatic, but as I point out in the article, there's a huge substantial logical gap between Bitcoin money and we need to consensus to prohibit selective uses that a select group of people are going to decide what that is. And even if we do that, it's not going to stop the problem. Like that's a gap that's as wide as the Grand Canyon. But everyone, Bitcoin money, Bitcoin money. I mean, that's literally.
Oh God, you're making me laugh. You're not worried about offending anybody who had opinions or has opinions. Dude, you wrote a good article though. I'll bring this up. Divide and conquer. No KGB needed. It's a good view on the psychology behind how we want to follow and believe, and having an adversary that we're fighting against. And sort of like the cypherpunk idea that anti-establishment, we're grassroots, we are all Satoshi, and then
except Craig Wright.
Yeah, except Craig Wright. But anyway, people really got hooked into.
Well, I like what Johnny said here. It's like, yes, lead me to my new master so I can be independent again. That sums it up perfectly. That's exactly it. Like everybody is just like, take me to my new dear leader. Okay, here you go. I'll be dear leader. I'll be sweatpants weirdo guy with a beard. Okay. I believe everything you say now. I will change my mind based on what you tell me to change my mind to. And it's like, wow, dude. Okay, well, but like I think Robin kind of pointed out, he's like, if you want a great, like he posted a thing like BIP 110 failed or something like that, right? He said, this is a great honeypot for all the BIP 110 bots. If you want to just have a handy list, this is like my honeypot post. Just scroll down to everything that replied because they're all bots. And you can mute them straight away.
Yeah. Well, what's I was imagining, before the fork that there are going to be people, I'm sure, that reframe all of this around, BIP 110 being actually Bitcoin, and that somehow the rest of the 99% of the network has forked off and is now core coin, pedo coin,
Right.
whatever coin.
But that's an
And it's like,
absurd position to take just right out of the gate. It's already like demonstrably an absurd notion. You go, everybody disagrees with me, therefore I'm the only real one. You go, yeah, but that's not how life works in general. That's not how any economic thing works. If I come along and go, this coin that I made is more valuable than gold, and everyone goes, yeah, I don't think so. Right? It doesn't matter how loud you scream that. It doesn't matter if you stamp your feet and go, this is the real gold. I made it in my laboratory. It's more pure than blah, blah, blah. And people go, I don't give a rat's ass what you think you've made there. Like,
there is a
nobody
market.
there's this enormous
Is there a market?
gold, and it doesn't recognize your whatever thing you made. So GFY, go away.
Yeah. Well,
So, I don't know.
and Pied Piper's leading that, and then in the face of the fork and where it's at now, there's a little deja vu with all this.
A little.
Well,
It's a mirror image, dude.
this is the first big event like this that I've ever seen coming and
Yeah,
lived
it's
through.
total deja vu. It's total right deja vu.
Yeah, it's like that really. Where some of the folks that have doubled down to the point where like, well, what next, Luke? What do we do? Are we out? Because I'm kind of ready to maybe just, explain my logic still, but concede what Bitcoin is, like following the longest chain rules and what's happening in the network. And Luke says, nope, we are going to we've picked a new proof of work algorithm. And it reminds me of like, okay, we're going to fix the hash. We're even considering different size of blocks. We're even considering different this and that and the other. All of a sudden it's like, oh, it's not just some policy rules on nodes. We're talking a complete other thing here. And that's still Bitcoin. That's now still Bitcoin.
No, it's not still Bitcoin. It's the real Bitcoin. It's the
the real Bitcoin.
It's the only Bitcoin. The other thing is compromised and blah 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 blah. I mean, just
Bitcoin is Satoshi envisioned.
Whatever. I mean, it's
So anyway,
so is Bitcoin Cash, and so is Bitcoin, Satoshi's vision, and so is every other shitcoin that's come along in the last 20 years. It's some fork of the core client. You go, all right, whatever.
Now, I might say the incentives are different on these. Like Bcash and Bitcoin Jesus had, I think, their own incentives about it that were pretty fiat. Craig Wright is just a sociopath.
Well, it's easy to paint him with that brush, and I go, so's Luke. Then, like, they're doing the exact same thing.
And,
I don't know why where the idea that there's some different incentive structure here. Like, the incentive structure is very clear in all cases. We're creating a shitcoin, and we're doing it under cover of purity. And it's like, oh, well, wait a minute. What happens if we strip away the purity later? Oh, we're just creating a shitcoin. Oh, well, why don't you just lead with that? Oh, because no one would buy my shitcoin if I started off saying I want to make a shitcoin. So I got to come at it with like an assault on the blah, 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 moral framing, moral narrative, moral imperative, save the children, blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is that power seekers have always used for the last 10,000 years to acquire power, they'll just bring that to the fore so they can launch a shitcoin. It's like, okay, well, all right, now everybody knows exactly what you're doing. You're making a shitcoin. So cool. Go fork off and have fun. Like, go nuts. I don't know. But I certainly don't have to donate any money to your bags. And I think the funniest thing that's going to happen when they finally do launch their shitcoin is that somebody somewhere, just for the lulz, is going to go pack that chain so full of fucking shit that nobody would ever want to see ever. There's going to be like poop eating videos and all kinds of stuff is going to be embedded all over that chain.
That's what happened to BSB.
Well, yeah, the BSV. See, that's the other thing is people go, look what happened to BSV. It's like BSV was prioritizing huge blocks and minuscule fees. So yeah, of course, like it's going to attract trash because it's cheap to put trash on that chain. It's not cheap to spam the Bitcoin. I mean, it is right now because no one's using Bitcoin. So you go, all right, whatever. But there's a very different fee market involved in like committing your felony, right? Like, and that's part of that problem with that whole like CSAM argument. Anyways, you realize all these transactions are traceable, right? Yes. And they are immutable. Yes. And you can use forensic tracing to figure out with a high degree of certainty where this transaction came from and yada, yada, yada. Yes. Okay. So that's how you want to commit your felony this week. Yes. I want to pay good money to commit a felony that could lock me up for the next 20 years so I can what? Store
Troll.
something on the blockchain? Like, what are you talking about? Like, you can just go hop on like Telegram and just like spread this shit for free with almost no risk. Or you can just go hop on Tor and just spread shit for free with, I mean, there's still risk in both, right? Like you can still get rung up on those things, but why, under what incentive structure is there? They go, oh, well, maybe a government would use it to corrupt the network. Well, these transactions are traceable, right? And so we could trace it back and go, oh, this looks like it's the work of, whatever, the North Korean hacking group. Okay. So does that change the posture of this? Of course. It's just, it's exhausting.
Yeah, as if the freedom money tech isn't a big enough threat as it is.
Yeah. Run things up the flagpole, dude.
Yeah, I'm a free market guy, and it's like even if there were things that I think could be done better, shouldn't be in a certain way or whatever. You know what? The base protocol layer network has not changed. Bitcoin continues. That's why I titled this TikTok Next Block. You can still run different nodes and do things that you want on your node, and fine. But the Bitcoin could always do this stuff, and Bitcoin continues to function as it has been built to do. And so TikTok Next Block, I mean, the power of what Bitcoin is doing and can do is in a way as strong as ever. I think tech and layers are still being built on it, things built around it. It's affecting the nature and the psychology about property rights and what you can hold and how. We see it with all the self-custody stuff lately.
I honestly don't think there's a single Bitcoiner that actually looks at Bitcoin that way. Like there was a discussion on like underneath my article that I posted the other day about, Bitcoin as a property right. And, someone came up, oh, sure, now it's a property right, right? Of course, before it was money, and now it's this and that. Blah. I'm just like, look, dude, there's all kinds of nonsense that gets floated around in Bitcoin circles, right? And some of it you can kind of go, well, I could see that as an aspirational goal, but that's not what Bitcoin's doing right now. And I don't see any clear path to how we're going to get to whatever dream scenario that people come up with. And then there are claims that get made about Bitcoin. I just go, that's just absurd. Like you just go like, that might happen if you just completely ignore all other things in the history of the world. If you just set all that aside, then your little magical vision of whatever you think is going to happen could happen. But what is odd to me is like people, like Bitcoin money, I go, you got to use it as money. It's like, well, how do you use Bitcoin as money? Like how are you going to get your circular economy going? Are you talking about peer-to-peer node transactions? Like I'm running my node, you're running your node. We're going to wait 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes or however many confirmations to make sure the transaction went through. Is that the circular economy you're talking about? And inevitably the answer is no. They go, no, it's going to be on Lightning and layer 2. And go, okay, so not Bitcoin. No, it's Bitcoin still because you go, well, is the Lightning network something that you have absolute ability to verify everything in that chain? The software stack, like one of the big Lightning providers just shut down because they were getting attacked all the time. You go, oh, well, I thought that was going to be the big thing that's going to solve everything. It turns out it's all chock full of software logical holes and loops and places where people can lose money. how's that going to work for your global monetary reserve status, blah, 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 whatever Bitcoin standard shit? I go, it doesn't. So what you're talking about is just like replacing the sovereign middleman apparatus with a new buggy, who knows who developed what, under what conditions, with what safeguards, middle layer in between, the Fediments and Lightning and this and that and the other thing. We go, oh, we're going to trust all this middle software instead of the state software in the middle because freedom. And you go, that doesn't work. Like that will never work. So if you're talking about Bitcoin as a peer-to-peer electronic cash, and you're
feeling saucy today.
I am, because this shit drives me crazy, dude. It's like, what is the observable effect of the network currently right now? It takes 10 minutes to process a transaction, period. If you want to do it on the base layer, it's going to take you 10 minutes to get it included in a block. You got to wait for X number of confirmations. Once you get through to finality, you go, okay, I have high confidence in this transaction now because it's been confirmed X number of times. That's not a high velocity payments network. That's not a circular economy network. That's not, that is a great exchange of property. If I can go, hey man, you owe me $1 million for this house. And I go, yeah, it'll be there in 10 minutes. Okay, cool. Tick tock, ding. Yep, I got it. It works. Okay, cool. Thanks, Johnny. I'm bringing the sass today. So what did you just exchange? Property. You had this really seamless, really high confidence property exchange that no one could prevent you from doing. That's amazing. That's already a visible artifact of the Bitcoin blockchain and how it works right now today, without any fantasy, without any second layers, without any intermediaries, without any this, that, and the other thing, and all this new tech stack that is all vulnerable to all kinds of interference, capture, hacking, yada, yada, yada. So what is the boner for like projecting onto an amazing technology all this functionality that it doesn't have? Like, why is that so important to people? It just, I don't get it. Like, I'm
well, there's convenience, and if you have an interface that allows you to hit buttons instead of have to have a console and do script, there's that. But also, when you boil down what Bitcoin really is, the primary use case lending itself quite naturally to that store of value property right tech versus got to be medium exchange somehow. And well, the only way to really do that is on these layers. We saw bolts go down for a while, and it was really like, are they done? Like, they might be done. And
well, they all stepped away, dude. They all said, we're not running bolts anymore. There's a whole new team coming in.
Well, and conspiracy erupted around that because they had this canary thing they were supposed to update every 90 days, and they didn't. And so it was like, they're compromised, clearly. And then they're like, oh, no, we just forgot because there's 5 of us. And there's like a few guys doing their best, and they're like busy as hell. But then people are like, there may be compromised. But then it's like, oh, no, we had to step down. There's new guys in there. We'll announce who the developers are. I can imagine that some of them may be people we know. I suspect who may be working on it now. And they're good guys. I guess we'll find out. Like a tool like bolts is super useful. But just remember, it's not Bitcoin. It's not Bitcoin. An intermediary. It's a layer. It's a gap hopper. People lose track of, I think, what Bitcoin is. And so when they're thinking Bitcoin needs to be a medium of exchange, people I know or myself, when you really want to do that, and even if you're going to pay a plumber to do some work and he can get paid sometime today, but then you're standing there and you're like, okay, let's wait for a confirmation here. I'll get back to you.
All right.
And it does finally settle, but you need a little while. So one time it was like a block, and it was going to take, for some reason, a block didn't clear for 45 minutes. And the plumber's like, so am I paying you? But anyway, yes, he did get paid, but it's not the same as Visa without those layers, which, okay, you add those layers, the rules are different. There's a different trust verify game there.
Enormously different. And you have no state backing for it. Like if you lose money in your Lightning channel because of some Lightning bug, You don't get to rely on the courts. You go, hey, I lost all this money in the lightning bug. They go, what's lightning? What are you talking about? Well, I was transferring money in this little background, like who knows who coded this thing, but I was trusting it with my $1,500 transaction. All they're going to do is look at you and go, yeah, you probably shouldn't have done that. Why didn't you just go to the bank, dude? Like that's
You're supposed to use the bank.
Yeah, like when you transfer money like this, like an easy way to do that is like to go to the bank and take some money out and then hand it to the person. Then none of this happens, right? Or if you just do like a wire transfer, an ACH transfer, like none of this happens. Or if you just used your debit card and they used Cash App, like that would have been pretty easy. And if something had gone wrong, then you can just call customer service and get it sorted out. But I want to have global money and I want to have a circular economy and now I lost $1,500. Yeah, okay, and that's the cost of doing business. I don't know what to tell you. Sorry, you can file a report. We can say, hey, Dum lost his thing on this internet Ponzi scheme. We don't know. They don't care. So you go, well, this is going to take over the world and, freedom money and blah, blah, blah. It's just like, how much sloganeering are people going to rest their collective hats on is what I'm kind of curious about. Like I watched the power of these slogans recently and I'm just like, man, there's like this really amazing technology that we're just sitting on right now that is already doing exactly what it is incredibly powerful at doing. Like it's a non-sovereign granted right of exclusion to valuable property that is really, really hard to interfere with. It's the most robust property right you'll ever own in your life, ever. Your ability to decide what happens to those UTXOs is like unmatched in history. No king, no pharaoh, no emperor, no dictator, nobody on planet Earth has ever had the kind of power you wield if you have your own keys and you have unspent transaction outputs under your control. From that moment forward, you're like, hey, man, I can do some pretty amazing shit with this. Like I can take all my wealth across a border. I can take all my wealth to a new jurisdiction. I can transfer some of my wealth to somebody else, and then they can convert it to whatever they want to use it for. Or I can just stack up a bunch of this wealth and then dispose of it at my leisure later on, or whatever you choose to do with it. But just having that power is like huge. So like, what is the big, like, oh my God, we're going to do, it's got to take on, we're going to smash fiats. Like, how do you think that's going to happen? Like on what planet do you think that occurs? On what planet does every single source of power, every locus of power on planet Earth that's existed for the last 10,000 years just magically disappears because you have magic internet money that you're relying on third-party intermediaries to distribute for you? That just doesn't make sense to me.
Slogans.
Yeah,
my slogans have stayed the same. Get off zero, run a node, take self-custody.
Yeah.
Those are still true, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing controversial about that position, right? And yet people say, if we're not using it as money, it breaks. I'm like, you don't even know what money is. And like people are shitting all over Michael.
What is that too?
Like,
what is money? Yeah, right.
But, like if you look at the world and you go, okay, so you're some guy who stumbled into Bitcoin in 2017. You managed to stack up 25 of them. And now you're a personality on Twitter. And the extent of your economic knowledge was you read half of the Bitcoin Standard. You watched a bunch of podcasts. You maybe dipped into Lynn Alden's Broken Money. And maybe somewhere in there you browsed Human Action. And I guarantee almost no one who claims to be some sort of Austrian or whatever has actually read Human Action because it's dense as shit. It's not really well written, and it's really hard to freaking follow all the way through.
Downloaded it and started reading it. I'm like, oh shit, I need a week.
Dude, you need
a week off.
Like it took me forever to read that fucking book when I was in high school. Like it was an absolute nightmare to get through it. And I never really was like, oh, I got this, I grok this now. It's just like, it was literally a lot of reading where it's just like I'd get 10, 15 pages through and go, what the hell did I just read? Like, I have no idea what, it's not something that you grok. It's something that you're going to understand after 4 or 5 years of like breaking it down. And even then you're going to have a very partial view of what money is or what economics are or any of this stuff. And it's all deeply contested by people that have thought about this problem for their entire careers. So to go, I understand everything now because I saw Sailor Breedlove and I read half of the Bitcoin Standard and I follow all the right accounts on Twitter. You go, you don't understand shit. Chances are good the guy that's running strategy and has concocted these pretty wild financial instruments, he probably understands money better than you do. Just as just a guess, I would go, chances are good. If that guy's got something to say about money, you might want to listen to him. Nope. He's a fucking shitcoin. He lost a plot. Bitcoin is money. Blah, 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 blah. It's just like, okay, well, then ignore him. Like, if you don't want to buy a MicroStrategy stock, don't. Like, that's pretty easy. But like trying to dunk on that guy, saying he somehow doesn't understand all this amazing stuff that you do because you read half of the Bitcoin Standard and you watch a bunch of YouTube videos and you follow all the right accounts on Twitter, it's just like, it's kind of an absurd position to take, I think. Like, just as a base level of understanding of anything, you just go, really? Do you really know what you're talking about when you're talking about money, or do you know what you read and heard on a podcast? Like, there's a big difference between those two, right? So I don't know.
Yeah,
I am sassy. I'm full of sass today.
Oh boy, I know.
Maybe I'll change my Twitter handle. I'll just be Sloganeer.
Bitcoin Sloganeer.
Yeah.
You know what? An easy read you can vibe with and grok is the Communist Manifesto. Communist Manifesto. You can just read that, easy, get the vibe, be like, yeah, I want all this. Versus human action, praxeology, Mises. The manifesto doesn't have any real solutions. It's just more like, see, this is not fair and bad and wrong. So anyway.
Well, I mean, there are aspects of that read. If you actually give it its due course, you kind of go, well, I can kind of see where he comes up with some of this stuff, right? So, you know, that work has been enormously influential around the world. It's literally changed the entire structure of global politics and the global order. And so people go, it's all bullshit. I go, well, you adopt that position at high risk to yourself and to your epistemic posture. If you can't read it and understand why it's effective, then you will never understand it. So regardless if you agree with the conclusions of the proponents of it, which I do not, to be clear, but but if you just discount it or ignore it entirely, you go, dude, you understand the Soviet Union and China and like a healthy swath of the world adopted this ideology. So to say that it has no merit is sort of an odd position to take, is my thing.
You know, it's interesting to me
exactly. He can sell whatever he wants, Johnny.
Yeah, Sailor can sell his Bitcoin. People like, he said he'd never sell. Oh, he sold it.
He clarified that. He goes, I said I'll never sell. I'm not selling. I haven't sold a single coin out of my stack. My company's got shit to do. Like, it's got,
yeah, well, that's true. He didn't personally, but his company's doing other things.
Let's see if Robin will join us. We're talking strategy.
Robin knows way more about strategy. Maybe he'll pop on. Oh God. Well, that brings me to your article. Not this one. No KGB required. The political narrative ideology behind a lot of things in Bitcoin, somewhat divorced from the actual technology or the market or TikTok next block, is what we want things to be in the world. And when I think of, I'm not, maybe you would, but I'm not connecting the two directly. I'm just saying the thought process is involved. And I think what you say in your article here is this, like, sort of, we would like things to be different or ideal or perfect. Mm-hmm. But how do we get that to happen? Well, it becomes the same old, like, control game. Like, we're like, instead of being decentralized free market, hey, the network's just functioning. You can't, a minority of miners, a minority of nodes, a minority of anybody, and even a quasi majority of people can't just change it. It takes processes and consensus and all these things.
Right.
And so when you lose, like, pretty badly, and obviously, like, wow, you didn't have the support. Like, the numbers just weren't there, period. Like, clearly.
Right.
And so you're going to say it's the reframe of the same stuff you see with, like, this there's all these bad establishment actors that are in control. And so, but your own solution is a very centralized control planning thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to centralize and control and plan the new thing.
Right.
So it's like new bosses, same as the old bosses in a way, just different ideologies. But anyway, this article you wrote was really good on that front, in terms of.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, what's funny is, like, right when that Opportune thing blew up, I was posting sort of opaque tweets at the time, just like, all of this rhetoric these Opportune guys and the Nazis are using is the identical, and I mean, not even a butt hairs difference between all the same rhetoric that was used to launch the AML complex, right? To start the Bank Secrecy Act. Like, it's the same exact arguments, bad actors using the monetary network incorrectly. It should be this, it's blah, 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 all these purity tests, and why shouldn't we do this and why shouldn't we do that? And that fundamentally changed the trajectory of United States finance policy forever. So much so that we now have this KYC regime and all this like financial intrusion and monitoring your transactions and forbidding you from accessing your bank account and all this crazy shit. And you just go, huh. Well, so what happened to all that moral framing in the beginning about these tax cheats and everything is now like terrorism and CSAM and, and funding ISIS and Iran and blah, 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 blah. That's all this, like, you go, oh, so your little moral grandstanding that launched the Bank Secrecy Act back in 1970 has now morphed into this like Leviathan octopus with tentacles that reaches right up your ass and for every single thing you do financially. And when I see the rhetoric of the Nazi people, I go, what likelihood that your similarly ineffective solution space is not going to end up in the exact same spot that the AML complex did? We just need a little more control. They're just working around us doing this. Oh, now they're doing this. So we got to lock down this and I'm just going to dictate what Bitcoin should be based on metrics that change every single week because some guys come up with some new way to get around our regulations. That's the exact same thing that happens with money laundering. They go, oh, well, now they're using cash mules, so we need to ban cash. Oh, now they're using, these corrupt banks, so we got to, add more compliance to the banks, and we're going to fine this bank for doing this, and we're going to do. It's like they're just constantly chasing creativity, and you just go, that's just a fool's errand right out of the gate. But it was never about stopping tax evasion. It was always about we want to control what people are doing. Period. Full stop. And it's the same exact thing. It's the same impulse that's driving that whole Nazi thing. It's just like, we just want to control what you're doing. We want it to be the way we want it to be, period. And it's like, well, that's not how this works. So sorry.
Yeah.
Whether
and
it's right or not, it's not how the network is set up currently. So
yeah. And leading up to this,
you're going to face contention.
Yeah, exactly. And leading up to this, I mean, it took me until about a month or two before the fork was going to happen, and when I had time to stop and play it out and think about it, listening to the narratives and see where this might go, I thought, you know what, we might actually lose some otherwise good-based Bitcoiners over this. Who,
how good and based are they if they're a shitcoin? Like
people say who like orange pilled me or contributed to that, and that I learned from. And then, of course, I'm in this process of slaying the Buddhas out there, slaying your heroes, and which is now just due process for being a Bitcoiner is not trusting or just hanging your hat on anybody, just being like, oh, different perspectives, learning as we go, and not being like, well, what did Sailor say? Oh, wait, what did Cratter say? Oh, what is Luke saying? It's just like I try to zoom out. Like, I still follow these people and read it because I want to understand how are they responding to all this? I'm curious where this is going. Even as at this point, I'll be eating my popcorn, just being like, oh my God, what next? Like, I'm pretty secure in where I'm at, but my goodness, how deep is this going to go? And,
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. My only point being like, well, I think we've lost some. We lost some. And that's fine. I'm kind of like, well, whatever. I find it educational, actually. It's like, this is how human dynamic systems do this stuff and how Bitcoin remains and what happens to the community that scrambles around it. What's cringe to me would be people that need to kind of just follow and believe, and they're on a thread of a narrative or a point of view which they've just committed to, and the mental flexibility is not there, and they're all in, they're dug in, they're stuck, and so they've taken a lot of people with them. That when I see some of the comments and the angriness or orneriness, or just like these have to be people that aren't so wealthy in Bitcoin or whatever property. They don't care if it all goes to zero or not. Like, it's their choice too. I just hate for people to get caught there where their market value of what Bitcoin means to them in terms of having a storage of their time and their wealth there. What if people go off the side trail on the path and get lost and be like, what do I have? Like, big fat zero.
Well,
all this you put into
all they had was a big fat zero to begin with. Like, if their entire worldview and identity is pinned on slogans, then it kind of doesn't, like, you go, oh, they're based and they're this because they were repeating slogans. Like, how based are they? If you think about where Bitcoin was born, it was born in cypherpunk. Cypherpunk spent decades studying, learning, understanding privacy, understanding cryptography, dense, deep, theoretical and practical topics that require a lot of horsepower and a lot of effort to understand and unpack and then put into functional forms. What's followed since then are people that are LARPing on cypherpunk ideals and parrot slogans. And then the ones that are effective at it become voices in the space, but they don't have the same depth of knowledge. They don't have the same technical expertise. They don't even have the same fundamental understanding of what those guys were doing, working towards, and why. So to say we've lost some based guy because he was really good at parroting slogans, you go, well, how much loss is that other than we just lost a sloganeer? Like, so what? The people you really want to be worried about are like when the OG cypherpunks are like, I'm done with this. This is fucking nonsense. You guys are morons. You've corrupted this project into oblivion. You know, like, people hate Eric Voskuil, but if you read his work, you go, oh, this guy's thinking about these problems on a way deeper level than every single sloganeer on Bitcoin Twitter. And people go, this guy's a fucking blah, 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 and they'll dog on him. I'm like, you are taking your sloganeering standpoint and dogging on a guy who's devoted the last 20 years to understanding this stuff at a deep, deep level and a deep technical level, is actually working on solutions that strengthen the network. And you're going to try and dunk on him because it doesn't, what he said in some tweet somewhere didn't align with your slogan. It was like, so I don't feel like we've lost anything that is meaningful or matters. And you know, the attention space inside Bitcoin Twitter or whatever is limited anyway. And Bitcoin Twitter thrives on like reactionary, like clickbait sort of shit, just like the news media does, just like every media organization since yellow journalism days. They go and find some salacious thing that they can parade around so they can get eyeballs. That's all they matter for. That's all they care about, and that's all that's ever going to matter for them. And what they do is they just stir people up and whip them into a frenzy, and at the bottom of it there's no substance at all. It's just like, I'm in a frenzy, I'm in a tizzy now because Trezor thing. Oh, now this week I'm in a tizzy because of, Lop said. Oh, this week I'm in a tizzy because, Luke said. This week I'm in a tizzy because Opportune said. And this, but it's just like bouncing from, like, there's no coherent through line to any of this stuff. There's no like, let me think about this on a deeper level. It's just like, what thing can I panic about right now?
Yeah, and every week there's been a new thing, I mean, yeah. It has been week after week after week. It's like, what? And it's the age and the space we're in on where, Trezor had a whole bunch of customer data, stolen from one of their shipping partners, something. So, yeah, but so it's like the latest thing. And so you see the drama and the squawking on X about it. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Johnny. We do good here. I think Bitcoin has kept me smarter, not just through the technical, logical thinking through things, but how I, as a human, grapple with these kinds of community narrative changing things. So like you've got Bitcoin. So we got Bitcoin as a base layer, and then stuff pops and dramas blow up and things happen around Bitcoin. And it's human nature to be like, oh my gosh, like I feel important, passionate things about Bitcoin. And now I'm getting sucked into this, and now I'm sucked into this. And now it's like, this is everything's important. And oh my God. And I have to like check myself and be like, okay, so we always knew, or we should have always known, okay, if you didn't, now you know that you buy stuff. I mean, Uncle Rockstar said something interesting, like when you buy stuff online, it's important to think through how that happens. If you're buying a hardware wallet or whatever, like, how do you do that? Like, if you really care about these things, well, it ties into the article you wrote. Let me bring this up. Wait, that's not it. Yeah. Security is a posture, not a product. And you get into the way a lot of people think about, Bitcoin and security, and you're looking at a specific area window of what security means.
Right.
But it gets into so many factors, and you point out a lot of good questions to ask here about going to make you dizzy enough with my scrolling.
Oh, scrolling this way is fine. Scrolling sideways is what screws me up. I don't know what it is, dude. Like, you remember microfiche?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go sideways.
This is literally me with microfiche. I'm going to throw up. Like, it literally takes 2 seconds. So
why does it have to go sideways?
Dude, it's the side to side thing. If I'm scrolling up and down, I can scroll up and down all day long. As soon as my eyes have to track sideways and repeat and sideways and repeat, like, I get so motion sick so fast. It's almost ridiculous. Anyway,
yeah. Police officers, when they're doing DRE, drug evidence collection for, are you drunk? And with alcohol, you can't lift your eyes without moving your head. Your eyes up and down are harder. And then for other drugs, it's the horizontal nystagmus.
Yeah, all those tests are
like
voluntary, right?
Anyway,
those are voluntary tests. For anybody who's watching, if you get pulled over and they say, hey, would you step out of the car? Would you like to do a roadside breath test? No. Would you like to do fields of like a clown show where you're walking around trying to balance on this and that? No, absolutely not. I don't want anything to do with any of that shit. And they can't use any of that against you, period, in trial. It is completely voluntary. They'll make it seem like, oh, yeah, well, if you just do this, we'll let you go. If they're pulling you out of the car to run those tests, they already are going to hook you up. You are not getting out of that. You may as well just take the ride, go down to the station. If you're drunk, then you're going to have to blow. When you get to the station, you have to blow. Yeah. But you don't have to do any of that other shit. You need to produce license, registration. You need to get out of the car if they ask you to. You don't have to do any of the clown show bullshit. Hey, follow my flashlight. No, thank you.
But what if they say, hey, I thought I smell alcohol. Probably not, but I just want to get you on your way. Just voluntarily stand on.
I don't answer questions, sir. No, thank you.
Say, respectfully, I decline. I'd like a lawyer.
Yeah. I respectfully decline to participate in your nonsense. If you want to take me to the station, let's get down there. Full stop. That's it. Yeah. I want to take a look in your car. No, thank you. No, I don't consent to a search, blah, 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 blah. All those little like YouTube clips are, problematic in their own way, but at core of them, well, this is another thing. Like, if you're going to adopt this posture, you need to go deeper than the YouTube video to understand what you're doing and why. But as a general rule, I'm just pointing out, you don't have to do the little eye test bullshit. Like, you don't have to do any of that. It's voluntary. Look it up in your state. It'll say those tests are voluntary as a general rule.
Thank God for this show giving us life advice. Not legal advice, but legal perspectives. Yeah.
Don't jump.
Yeah. I mean, you see the videos where the person's filming all, of course, but they're like arguing, and I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to get out of my car. I'm not going to give you my ID. I'm sovereign, all this stuff. And it's like, you got to give them ID. If they say step out of the car, you do have to step out of the car. But as far as all the other, hey, I want to get you on your way here, but let's just, will you just look at this?
Tony show real quick.
Yeah. Questions. Have you had anything today? Where are you coming from? All the things. It's already on a path. So anyway,
right. It's already on a path.
You have the right to
Here's
remain
a fatal
silent.
answer 100% of the time. Well, I had a beer about 4 hours ago. Okay, thank you for the probable cause. Right over there, please.
Right, exactly.
Have you had
Yeah.
anything to drink tonight? I respectfully decline to answer any questions not directly related to procedures of this stop.
Yeah.
But if you just blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, reasons, ideas, thoughts. This right here. What in your fucking lip? You don't have to engage with these people. You don't have to interact with them. And you certainly don't have to build a case against yourself from scratch just because some dude with a badge is asking you questions. Like that's not how the game is played. So like one of the greatest lines that ever happened to me in prison was from one of the inmates. I went over and said, "Hey, whose bunk is this?" And I go, "That's your job, sir."
It's like, yeah, well, you're right.
Yeah. That's your job, sir. It's not my job to tell you things you don't know.
Yeah.
Just like fair. Okay. Yeah.
And you didn't even realize, like you might be asking an honest question, and the line of being a snitch in prison is pretty tight.
Yeah, exactly.
And people feel like
that's exactly it. We have courts for a reason, like 100%. That guy can come up, make some ideas up on the spot, and act upon them. And he has every authority in the world to do that. If you want to get to a place where he's throwing you on the ground and beating the shit out of you first, you're welcome to go down that path too. You can very respectfully decline to answer questions, and then they can, like there's some guy got pulled over on a little razor scooter or whatever. He got pulled over for an operating vehicle when he was drunk or he didn't have a light on it or something like that. What's my crime? What did I do here? What's your reasonable, articulable reason for stop? Blah, 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 blah. It's like, you can invoke all those questions. Those are great questions to ask the judge, and to ask that attorney or that cop under oath in front of a judge and go, hey, and then have someone who knows how to ask those questions effectively under oath in front of a judge in a courtroom. Those are great times to have that. At the moment, you go, license and registration, please. Here you go. Did you know you're operating this vehicle with this thing? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, yes, no, thank you. Wait. What's happening right now? Do you want to do these tests? No, thank you. Do you want to do this? No, thank you. Do you want to do this? No, thank you. Let's take a ride. Okay, great. Would you make sure my scooter's, buttoned up, and then we'll let the judge figure this out.
Yeah.
But, trying to try like that's why those YouTube videos are so toxic and dangerous, because they're giving like kernels of good information, but they're buried under really, really poor practices. But I would argue exactly the same thing of Bitcoin Twitter. They're giving you nuggets of slogans that mean something, but they're not giving you the details of why it matters.
Yeah. You've got your Fifth Amendment, and you've also got the Sixth Amendment. Like you can, do I need an attorney? Like, I'm not, respectfully, I'm not saying anything. Do I need an attorney, or do you have PC on me right now? Or do I need an attorney?
Well, I mean, even they're going to concoct PC 100%. They will make it up out of thin air. Like, it's not hard to write something on a note on the side of the road why you had probable cause. Making that stand up in court is tougher, especially with body cams and this and that and the other thing. So, if you want to have an argument, the place to argue is in court, not on the side of the road. Like they say, you might beat the rap, but you ain't going to beat the ride. So just take the ride. Like, just accept from that moment when it starts going sideways on you, when they go, oh, okay, well, why don't you step out of the car? Feel like I smell some alcohol on you. You just go, oh, okay, I'm going to the police station now. Shit. Well, that sucks. Just alter your plans accordingly. Shut your fucking mouth. Don't offer up bad information. Don't incriminate yourself for needlessly because you think you're going to get out of it. It's already decided. You're already going to be put in handcuffs that day, and you're going to go in the back of the police car. So just accelerate the process. Get down there. Blow. If you're going to blow hot, then you're going to have to deal with the outcome of that. If you're not going to blow hot, then you might have a civil rights case. So, but inviting the guy to beat the shit out of you on the side of the road first and tase you and pepper spray you and drag you out of the car and break your windows and do all this crazy shit, not helpful.
Yeah,
and they might do it anyway just because you're being recalcitrant, just going, I prefer not to answer questions, sir. They might beat the shit out of you anyway, but then you almost guarantee yourself a nice civil rights lawsuit. The worst outcome is that you end up getting killed because you're doing something dumb. So I don't know.
Yeah, some of these guys really push it. You're not going to win by forking off and trying to change the policy layer. Go back to the base layer.
Yeah.
The base layer, the courts.
Right. Well, I mean, but this all ties into the Bitcoin discussion because, like, you go, here's all this aspirational shit about how it's going to take over the world and we're going to destroy fiat and we're going to, smash central banking and blah, 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 blah. We can't do any of that on the base chain. So here's all this other intermediary stuff in between that's going to make all this amazing magical world happen. With no coherent plan on how that occurs or why these people would just voluntarily give up control over all these apparatuses or why sovereign power would just suddenly stop mattering in a Bitcoin standard world and all this crazy stuff. You go, well, what can you do with the base chain? Well, I can transfer property from one person to another. Okay, cool. Why don't you just focus on that? Like, is that some, like, what is so terrible about that outcome? But I don't get it. Like, it kind of, I go, that's not a tiny thing. Like, it's a great, big, important thing that people discount in favor of some opaque definition of money that they don't even really truly possess. So, even Saylor's little article, if you read it, I go, he says something in here. Where is that article? I just had it and I closed it for some reason. Saylor
article.
Well, he's got some article.
110 reasons
money. But right here, let me share my screen if I may. Share screen. Michael Saylor on X. What does he say here? Money is not merely a medium. Its deeper purpose is to preserve the product of your life until you choose to use it. Incorrect. Like, very demonstrably incorrect. That is not what money is there for. That's not what money is doing. That's not why money was invented. That doesn't underpin the logic of money. Money is there to extract from you and to make you work. Money is a replacement for a whip. It's not a thing for lubricating markets or you saving your energy. Those might be downstream things that have been granted to you by the sovereign, but its first and primal object, its first and primal logic is to convert coercion into compliance via a monetary unit. It says, hey, you must work or you don't eat, becomes, well, I like to work because it's a valuable thing. And I'm doing this voluntarily as part of a market participant and blah, 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 blah. No, if you stop working right now, what happens? You don't eat. There may be charities that help you eat along the way. There may be like so much excess floating around that you're capable of eating anyway. Just look at all the bums sleeping on the streets of every major city in the country. But at core, money is getting you to go to work. It is organizing you as labor and making you feel like it's voluntary. So that one statement by Michael Saylor, I already go, this is already an incorrect interpretation of what money is.
The word money
exists. So,
and it can make you feel good along the way, but it's also like that trap. Like,
you will work or you will not eat. Period. Like, you can exist outside this system. It's a real pain in the ass to do that. Like the optionality, and even the optionality of exiting a system still requires sovereign blessings. Just because the sovereign ignores you because you're so insignificant is not the same thing as I'm free from sovereign control and sovereign rule. Like, they're completely different things. So careful what you wish for, because especially when you don't understand precisely what it is you're wishing for or thinking you want. My 2 cents.
Yeah. You can voluntarily do what you like, but if you want to exist, you will use this money. You'll be extracted from on the way in and extracted from on the way out. And at our blessing, and what that medium is not a. We can print it. We can dilute you or whatever. But
money is a whip. Like, that's the only thing people need to understand at core. If you want a slogan, money is a whip. It's not a lubricant. It's a whip. It's a gun. It's force. Money is force. And the force is you will labor or you will not eat. And if you're really good at organizing labor, then you can get other people to work so you can eat. And the better you are doing that, the more powerful you will become. Full stop. So there are layers to a monetary order, but at core, the core logic is you will work or you don't eat. And money is the thing that whips you into that frenzy. Full stop.
Versus different than Bitcoin. And so then you might say, well, then Bitcoin is not money.
You got a Chrysler? Gotta get Toyota, man.
Oh,
Jihad loves Toyota for a reason. They run.
2018 Chrysler. That's right.
You'll never see a jihadi driving a Chrysler. I'll tell you that. But you'll see a shitload of those African warlords cruising around in Toyota Hiluxes. They know something we don't. Like Toyota knows something we don't. They make really good shit, especially their older stuff. Now it's all turning into this computer controlled, like shitified, nonsense. But I don't know, man. I'm going to keep my little Prius running as long as I possibly can. I want to get that thing to 500,000 miles. That would be pretty epic, I think. And it doesn't, I mean, it's got like all that crash data and shit like that, but it's not like the modern surveillance state shit they're putting in those cars now. I wish someone would just make two things. Actually, three things. I want three things to exist in the world. I want a reliable toaster that just works really, really, really good. I never have to replace. That would just be perfect. Like, just get your toast just right every time, repeatably. That would be amazing. Nice and simple. No little dials, no little this, that, and the other thing. Just no digital fucking readout, no smart toaster. I don't want any of that shit. I just want something you go, if you put this piece of bread in here and you put it on this setting, it comes out exactly the way I want it to repeatedly forever and ever and ever. That would be awesome. Another thing I would love to see is a really simple phone. What can you do with this phone? You can make a phone call and you can get a text message. That would be pretty dope. Does it got GPS? Nope. Does it have XYZ app, this, that, and the other thing? Can I do all my personal finances and blah, blah? Nope. You can make phone calls and you can get text messages. I go, that would be a great invention. I wish someone would make that. Make it with buttons too. Like fuck touch screens. I want something with buttons, like a BlackBerry.
Could you install graphene and just lock it down, clean it up, and limit?
Well, I mean, graphene already makes it pretty hard for you to install anything on it. It's a real pain in the ass to work with that. But as a phone and a messaging system, it's not bad. So you're getting close, but you still have a bunch of like weird hardware, and it's doing a lot of stuff in the background to shut down all those little like spyware avenues, but it's still there, and you're dependent on a software stack that you don't. Yeah, an old Nokia, that would be pretty dope. I just want like a big button old person phone that I can get a message and I can make a phone call, and then the rest of it I'll figure it out. Maybe I'll have my little pocket computer to navigate and post on Twitter and whatnot, but. And then the third thing, a nice simple car, like just bare bones, window cranks, like shit that's mechanical, that's really hard to break, robustly created, no cheap shit plastic washers, no cheap shit plastic things in the engine, no cheap shit plastic anything in it. Just something that you go, when I buy this car, I will still be driving it 50 years from now with basic maintenance. I go, that would be just epic. Like take some of that Toyota engineering, simplify the shit out of it, and just make vehicle that works. Like instead of airbags, why don't you just have a really well padded interior? So there's not even a thing to trigger. It's just like, oh, if I crash this into a wall, the inside of my car is soft enough that it's going to absorb some of that impact. Cool. You know what I mean? Like
pillow steering wheel.
Yeah. I just want a nice simple toaster, a nice simple phone, a nice simple car. I think the world would be a much better place just with those three changes.
There's times when I absentmindedly just put some bread in the toaster, hit it, make my coffee, and it pops, and I go, and it's not even toasted because someone in my family turned the dial down to like not toast.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, now I got to turn it up to normal toast, and then I do my thing, come back. Oh, now it's burnt. Oh.
Right. Yeah. I hate toasters. I love toasters because I love toast. I hate toasters because modern toasters just suck. Like we had an old toaster back in the day. Like I think it was made in the 1950s or 60s. I think it was great. Like it ran off a very simple timer. And if you got the temperature setting right for the bread you were using, like it was reliable as shit, but it would like just absolutely scorch things into charcoal if you didn't have it set right. You had to tinker with it to get it going. But once you got it going, man, perfect toaster. Nice simple refrigerator, nice simple washing machine, just simple.
Now, if you had just the right vehicle, that the based vehicle you wanted, no fuel injection, no nothing, would you go electric where you could solar charge it if you had to, or would you go?
Electric introduces controllers and
Yeah.
software, regardless. You have to do that. And it's problematic for a number of things, not least of which is infrastructure. But I'll tell you what, like back in the day, people would take old VW bus engines and put them into VWs because it's like a 210 horsepower engine. But it would make that little VW, like if you tuned it and ported it and did a couple of little things to it, that thing would literally propel a VW bug to an 11-second quarter mile. Like it would be competitive with a Tesla today. Like you can make a VW bug do a wheelie just by putting a bus engine in the back. But the thing about the bus engine was it was so simple and so dead nuts reliable. It was air cooled. And you go, well, why couldn't we just take the old VW bus engine and then apply some modern manufacturing techniques like making sure that each crankshaft is exactly so, and making sure the materials used are exactly so, and making sure everything lines up exactly so, and just make like a really high quality bus engine that just runs forever. Like you could just put that, like the machine around it could completely rust away and crumble, and you could still start that engine and drive it like that. I go, that's a great system. There's no, planned obsolescence around that design. But, if you're a conscientious market participant, you go, hey, I just made the simpler car. You have to crank the window up and down yourself, but that window crank will never, ever break. Ever, because we've over-engineered it so much that it's just the most reliable window crank ever made. And we've got the most reliable door latch ever made. Like there's no little plastic piece that's going to fall off, so the little control arm falls down and falls to the bottom of the door. It just opens and it works. Like, why can't we just make that? Why can't we have that nice thing? And just go, how many electronics is this car dependent upon? Well, there's enough electronics to make sure that the sparks spark, or the spark plugs spark, the lights come on, and the blinkers blink. You go, well, how much complexity do you need for that? Almost none. Oh, so what are my failure modes? Almost none. Cool. Why don't we have that?
Yeah, planned obsolescence, or the excitement of the new tech, the new features, the new whiz bangy everything, and next thing you know, everything breaks. I know so many people that have bought like new in the last couple of years, new pickups, new Suburbans or SUVs, whatever, whether it's Ford, Dodge, I don't know what, some like a Range Rover even, and they just freaking break. Like even down to the engines suck.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's one piece after so many miles. Under situations, it can rattle and rust and fall, and when it does that, you're throwing a rod.
Right.
And it's like, what?
Whoa,
modern engines, we haven't figured this shit out. These, like somebody who bought a fairly brand new pickup just this year, and that thing's been in the shop month after month for core engine issues. And it's like, why is this even a thing? How do these engines not run for 1,000,000 miles and just work? Like, I don't, is it planned obsolescence or some sort of like get you in the dealership? I don't know. You could get conspiratorial with it.
Well, there is actually a term for it. It's called N-shitification. I swear to God, like this is an actual term that exists. You can Google it right now. N-shitification. It's spelled exactly the way you think it would be. The funny thing about N-shitification is that is a direct, in my estimation, result of fiat debasement.
Cory Doctorow.
Pardon?
N-shitification, a term coined by Cory Doctorow in 2022 to describe how online platforms and services steadily decay in quality over time. I don't know.
Well, N-shitification, to my mind, applies to the material world as well. So, like, you take a car, it's good for users, and then it becomes good for business, and then they decide to make it good for shareholders. The problem with, like, a car is, like, it's really hard to have, like, if you build a car that lasts 20 years, like your business model suddenly collapses, right? You go, well, we need to sell new cars every year to maintain all this shit. So you have a inbuilt thing of like, well, we should make things that decay. That's a good start. And then when you start running into the hassle of fiat debasement, it's like, well, we need to raise prices on our cars across the board, but it's not really doing anything different. So what if we enshittify the hell out of it? Like we replace like functional, useful things with like trinkets and ding dongs. Like it's cheap to install a little iPad in the middle of your thing and have a bunch of GPS and software. Like that's all shit you can get on the App Store for free. So, but you can charge another $5,000 or $10,000 for your car because it looks like you've made some sort of major improvements to the quality of the car or whatever. So in order to keep up with debasement, you have to start packing your core product with a bunch of garbage that nobody wants, nobody cares about, and then make it sound like that's something they'd want or care about, and then keep raising your prices. But somewhere along the line, quality has to decline because you can't maintain quality while your balance sheet is being drained by 10% a year due to debasement. So that's where the great realignment comes in. That's why Bitcoin, I think, as property is a big deal, because if Bitcoin is on your balance sheet growing with the debasement, then you don't have to enshittify things as much. Core thesis.
Yeah, the whole fiat world, it just gravitates towards the enshittification of everything, and we see it and feel it, and then people can't quite pin it down and confused about, like, I bought this nice new rig and there's just little shit about it, or like, why do I keep having to go into the dealer for this and that and tweaking that, and then it's more than I expected, and oh yeah, there was a recall on this engine, and it's like, how?
Right. Didn't you guys just make this thing? Yeah, exactly. Subscription air conditioning. Like that's the next step of enshittification. There's some report, I don't know if it's true or not. Some guy said his car got bricked on the road because he missed a payment. It was like a Ford Bronco. Like it was just, he had pictures of his car just sitting there in the middle of traffic, just not moving. He said, I called them up. They said, you missed a payment. So we bricked your car. And it's like, oh, cool. Thanks, guys. But you see, it's like, I feel like you could probably make a car for about 10 grand that was super reliable. I mean, how you keep up with like emissions and all that kind of shit is kind of a problem because like those standards are just retarded right out of the gate. For anybody listening, do you know what a smog pump is? Do you know what a smog pump is?
I've not heard that.
A smog pump is this really clever device where they pump fresh air into the exhaust via the smog pump. So what that does is when you put a probe in the end of the exhaust, it goes, oh, parts per million fall within this range. Cool. Your car is now EPA approved. Oh, well, how did you make it meet that parts per million thing? Well, we just diluted the air going into the exhaust. Isn't it the same amount of emissions coming out? Well, yeah, but it defeats the parts per million.
There's just a lot more air coming out.
We just pump some air. We take some fresh air, we compress it we actually make your car less efficient so we can run this pump.
How have I not heard of this?
But that's just one thing. And you go like, oh, okay, so all I got to do is just dilute the exhaust? Yes. But that doesn't fix the emission problem. That just makes the emission problem look different on your test. Yes. But doesn't that defeat the purpose of your emission test? Yes. And you need to do it anyway. Why? Because bureaucracy, because we said so, because some fucking idiot somewhere came up with a rule and that we couldn't figure out how to enforce this dumb rule. So enjoy. You get a less efficient car. But that said, like you go, well, why? It just, maybe I should be the next Elon Musk. I'll start my own car company this week. Like, why not? Right.
And here's a selling point. It's a car that runs on Bitcoin, the blockchain. It verifies it's based.
Yeah. It's got Bluetooth blockchain.
Yeah.
What is this? It's blockchain.
TikTok next block and bang bang next mile. It's on Bitcoin. It must be good.
I mean, why is that? Like, why not? Yeah, we could buy Great Britain. It's for sale. Clearly, there's a fire sale on that island right now. Good grief. But like, why not an air-cooled bus engine in a very simple frame that's rugged and durable and crashed? Like, you could have occupant protection. Like, you could have a vehicle safety cage around the occupants. You could have crush zones, all that kind of stuff. All easily doable with just mechanical things. and figure out some sort of passive restraint system, whether it's a padded interior or whatnot, or collapsible steering wheels and all. There's all kinds of ways to navigate things that aren't necessarily a bag blowing up in your face. So why not, right? And then make it so like those old 70s cars, you pop the hood, there's not even a radiator. Like, what fluid do you have to top up? Oil. What else? That's it. Like, I mean, maybe brake fluid, sure, transmission fluid. So you got 3 fluids you got to top up. Wiper fluid, maybe, I don't know. But I mean, all this stuff can be done very simply with mechanical things that you can build robustly. You can over engineer mechanical things so they don't fail. Like, that is not hard to achieve. And I think you could arrive at a pretty reasonable price point for doing all this, and then just make sure the thing's put together well enough. Then just go, hey, here's your 250,000 mile warranty, then sell a bunch of them, and then figure out what you can sustain after that, and then build your business around that. Like, why do like, we don't have to have dealership networks. Tesla has showed us the way. Let's just take the Tesla model, make it a simple mechanical gas powered thing, and get rid of the bells and whistles and doodads that Tesla gives you. Instead of, you've got a car that do 0 to 60 in 4 seconds, I got a car that do 0 to 60 in 12 seconds, but it's going to run forever. And I don't have to think about it ever again. I just got to put some axle grease on it and top up the oil once in a while. And
the biggest barrier to entry to such innovations would be all the regulatory stuff, the National Transportation Safety Board or whatever. You got to have a spare 100 cars to just prove out and crash and do all these things with. And then I don't know what paperwork and lobbying you have to do. Like, and then just wait to be bought out. Like, bought out and buried.
You don't have to sell. But,
yeah,
I mean, it's all the fundraising stuff that you really got to tackle. Like, Elon Musk was a genius because he just went and tapped into green nonsense. It's funny that he's such a conservative darling now, because for the longest time he was a liberal darling for being green,
totally
save the planet guy. And it's like, meanwhile, in the background, it's like, oh, this guy's just quietly becoming the most powerful human being to ever exist. So, yeah, but he's doing it with a stutter and a little like, thing. And you go, neat. Oh, I guess if you've got a world dictator in the making, he's probably not going to come out and say, I'm here to be a world dictator. He's just going to build out the entire infrastructure so he can be the world dictator without you noticing. Pretty cool.
I care not who is elected into offices, because I run the things.
72 Chevelle, that would be pretty dope. Why not like a GTO, man?
Yeah.
GTO judge.
My wife and I went to the coast last weekend, and driving there, I saw, now granted, we're in Oregon, and I saw 2 different Teslas that had bumper stickers being
apologetic,
guilt apologists over Elon, like bought this before Elon, or love the car, hate Elon, kind of a thing. And it's like, really? Yeah. Like, you gotta navigate your life fiat functioning with politics about the symbol of whatever you think it is you're driving. Anyway.
Well, what's funny about that is, like, I was actually thinking about this the other day. Like, the right likes dunking on the left because they're all wackadoodles and blue hairs and blah, 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 blah. The left likes dunking on the right because they're all like, financial demons or whatever, and extractors and exploiters. The thing that neither side realizes is they both need each other. Like, the right likes to think that, oh, we don't need these crazy blue hairs. And I go, okay. The thing that made me think about it was a statement someone made in some Twitter discussion 100 years ago, where the guy said, back in my day, we did blah, 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 blah. John Wayne never wore makeup. And I went,
in the 1960s, 1950s movies, like some of those guys, the makeup
that guy had so much foundation and concealer on him. You'd be lucky to know. Like, John Wayne is a construct, right? That is a narrative that all those blue-haired leftist weirdos made that people just adopt. You go, oh yeah, I believe in freedom and fidelity and bravery and honor among this and that. But where do you think you got those ideas from? Movies, television shows. And guess who made them? All those left-wing lunatics that you fucking hate. They're the ones that created all of those images, all those tropes, all those little things that you, not you, but, people in general, hang their hat on.
Well, like the Matrix, for sure. The
Yeah.
Matrix, like being this whole representative, peel off the veil of your life and see reality. And those guys that wrote that script and produced other stuff and all that,
They're complete fruit bats. They're complete fruit bats. One of them is like an outright fruit bat. And you go, oh, well, so all your based ideology and all your like thoughts of like honor and valor and courage under fire and all that kind of stuff, those are all constructed identities, and they're constructed narratives, and they were constructed intentionally because they capitalize on things that people want to see in the world. So it took a creative person to come up with that kind of stuff. But I was watching this band called Wet Leg, and I would wager that probably no Bitcoiner or right winger has ever heard of Wet Leg. They're an amazing band. They're just like this really incredible fucking band, and they write really incredible music, and they're complete left-wing wackadoodles. But like all the bands that I listened to when I was in middle school are all left-wing wackadoodles. All the bands I listened to in the 90s were all left-wing wackadoodles.
Yeah, I've come to realize that myself.
Like all the artistic, creative, the people that made Star Trek and Star Wars, left-wing wackadoodles. The people that made John Wayne, left-wing wackadoodles. The people that made all this stuff, that challenged all those tropes, that challenged The Godfather, complete left-wing wackadoodles. Like these are not, because that's what generates that kind of content. The sciences, about 50-50. Like you go, how many physicists are right-wing wackadoodles? About half. What are the other half? Well, they're left-wing wackadoodles, right? And you go, that's physics. A fundamental cornerstone scientific exploration of physics is kind of equal parts left and right, and you go, well, academia is captured in this. I go, because they're the only people that are devoting the time and effort to do that. The thing the left doesn't realize is they kind of take all this shit for granted. They go, well, lights just come on. Like electricity's in the wall, food's in the store, roads just pave themselves, and therefore I can tear all this stuff down and nothing will happen to me. It's like, no, all those right-wing wackadoodles that you hate are actually building shit in the real world. They make it so fucking seamless that you can just ignore it all and take it for granted. So you need those guys. So to sit there and shit on their heads and say, oh, you guys are useless, you're mouth breathers, you're this and that and the other thing, it's like, you're also the same guy that can't change a tire, you fucking moron. So, when shit goes sideways, you want those right-wing wackadoodles to show up. You want the guy that goes, you know what? That's a machine gun nest. They're coming to destroy all these left-wing wackadoodles that I got to protect. I'm going to go out and protect them. And they're going to charge into the fire. And you go, yeah, you want that guy. You want those people to show up when the bridge collapses. You want those guys to show up when the flooding happens and all this kind of stuff. The blue hairs don't help you there. And the blue hairs benefit tremendously from that apparatus. But you don't get the right-wing wackadoodles charging into that gun nest without the left-wing wackadoodles giving them the moral script to follow to reify that whole thing to begin with. Because if they're just left to their own devices, go look at places where they don't have strong narrative control. Like, these third world shitholes, if you want to call them that. Like how disciplined and dedicated are their military compared to ours? Like not even fucking close, because they don't have any fucking narrative to drive it. They just go, well, yeah, kind of show up here and, oh yeah, when shit gets bad, we just kind of run. Like they don't have any of that shit. So it's a symbiotic relationship that I think people are missing out on. I just went off on a whole fucking tangent here.
Yeah, well, it relates to.
Are they both?
Yeah, I'd read it. There's some crazy stories about those sisters now that what happened to them, and I guess you imagine. I mean, because they came from kind of like blue collar Midwest working whatever, and creative types, but wrote the screenplay, thrust into the Hollywood shtick, and then went wild with it. Just last night, my wife and I were watching a comedy show, and on Netflix or whatever, and it was a deranged leftist in approach to comedy. So part of me, it's like cringe, of course, but it was also, he's smart and funny, but it was, now granted, he's like the easy excuse is like, hey, these are jokes. I'm a comedian. I'm not a politician. And yet all I'm talking about is politics, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, but it was clear that in the view of the world as like the overproduced, privileged elite that we have that loves socialism now, he had no grip on economics or actually producing things. He would joke about it like, this is my job and I don't do shit. And he would self-deprecate joke about the nature of his work and who he is as an artist, as a stand-up. And it was completely divorced from how the world works or has worked to a point to allow him to be on stage in front of all these crazy people. Mm-hmm. It was like, yeah, economically divorced, like no clue how the world works, but I got opinions and by God, something looked like this and that's what it is. Or you had to be an idiot not to see that. And it's like,
well, I would argue the right is culturally clueless. Like they don't understand where their culture comes from or their idea of culture. So you can say like the left is materially clueless because they don't understand where materials come from, but you could say the right is just as clueless from like where the culture, the ideas of all these things that they fight for come from. And they're mutually reinforcing. Like if you want to see what conservative culture goes towards unchecked by creativity and by freedom of expression and by people testing boundaries and pushing boundaries, just go to Iran or Saudi Arabia or Afghanistan or something like that. Those are culturally depleted countries and they're totalitarian states. If you go to a place where it's just the liberal left-wing wackadoodles just running wild and not fully understanding what the economics and the production mean, then you end up with communist China and Russia. So you end up with a totalitarian state on the other side. So the reason why the United States is so magical is because we were the first country that kind of blended these two things really, really effectively. We went, oh yeah, let the lefties run around and push boundaries. Let the righties go around and, adopt the shit they like and discard the shit they don't like and let them fight about it constantly. But they're always mutually reinforcing. The thing that makes America incredibly powerful is the fact that we have left-wing lunatics and right-wing lunatics, and they're arguing, trying to find the place where the middle wants to be, which is like, you know what? A lot of those left-wing ideas, like teleporters and communicators and communication devices, those are left-wing lunatics that came up with those fucking ideas. And guess what? Right-wing lunatics came along and said, hey, we can kind of make those things now. And now we've got this whole Silicon Valley thing, which is like a tightly bound sort of thing between capitalism and capitalist ideals and left-wing ideals. And look what they're building. It's like they're building some really weird shit, but it's kind of cool. We're using it right now. And there are a bunch of left-wing wackadoodles that made this fucking Mac that I'm looking at right now. Like full-on left-wing, DEI fucking blue hairs are running that company, running that apparatus. And they're deeply embedded with the right in terms of like how they get funded and where that infrastructure comes from, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So I don't know, man, that artificial divide is artificial, and it's for power seekers. I think the quicker people can come to realize that, like the right can go and appreciate a band like Wet Leg.
Yeah, right.
I guarantee you there's some kid in the Wet Leg concert right now that is just a closeted conservative. He hasn't realized it yet, and he's all about like sharing, like when Rage Against the Machine came on stage in front of you two when I was 23 years old, I was going, yeah, fucking Rage Against the Machine. Like I look at their politics now and I'm like,
raging for the machine.
I don't agree with these guys at all in their ideological stance. Yeah. But at the time, it was just like, whatever, I don't know, I'm just rock and roll, man. Yep. So I don't know. Yep.
Me too. I was just last week.
Oh, shut up. That was 45 minutes of Daniel just.
Oh, I love it. Just last week, while I was grinding away on some paperwork at work and keep my mind occupied, I had a hankering for some old U2 and REM and like Rage Against the Machine, and it resonates so deeply with feelings that I had in middle school, high school, and through college, yada yada yada. But I have to just not think about who these people are involved in making this product. I love the music, and if I stop and think about Bono or somebody, it's just like, oh God. But anyway, I know how much you love Simon Dixon. What you're talking about, Simon Dixon was on What Bitcoin Did like last month.
Oh God.
And
Simon Dixon,
you make the show here, didn't you? Um,
Thanks, Johnny.
Simon Dixon, kind of on the dark side of everything you're saying, part of what he was saying on what Bitcoin did was that, we see these left versus right extremist things and all, like, oh my gosh, and like things seem bad, or like what side are you on, and they're fighting, and how deleterious that is to like what should be or what could be and all these things. He says it is perfect to have that for higher echelon levels of powers in control of things. Now he can go down rabbit trails with why or what it is.
Oh, he
But
does.
I agree that basically to have these two divorced towers of clashing peaks of ideologies fighting and scrambling and grinding on each other, and like the pendulum swinging and everybody in uproar, huge amounts of money thrust this way, and then nope, back that out and thrust it that way. And to have this dichotomy is perfect to, one, like keep us preoccupied, busy, distracted in a way, but also leveraging one side or the other so that TikTok next cage, the gestalt of where that goes is reasons to, more certain governments, control, anti-sovereignty, digital things, ID, what's the word? Legibility. We need all of this stuff to be more and more and more legible, controlled. Like, it's not like, oh, no, you can navigate through this. It's like, no, what side are you on, and how, and why are you at all unlegible?
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, you want to watch those people cooperate? Just watch what happens when they vote to reauthorize the Patriot Act. It's like 100% approval. You go, what side are you on? Well, we're on the side of just clamping down on you. Full stop. Oh, how do you do that? Well, we say Christian, God, family first. We say expression, freedom, free Palestine, blah, blah, blah. What do you guys agree on? We want to clamp down on you. Like, we will universally pass a reauthorize the Patriot Act year after year after year without even so much as a hint of debate about it, because no one cares about it because they're so busy screaming about blue hairs and gluing themselves to the road and blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, the apparatus is doing exactly what the apparatus has always done. It is exercising control over you and extracting from you to the best of its ability. And it's giving you little trinkets along the way. But, the ideal endpoint for the state is you work just as much as you eat, and you get all excess goes to the state. That's the goal of right and left. They don't realize it, but that's where that ends. So the best you can hope for as a resource is friction, or you become a resource organizer, e.g. you become an employer. And if you're really good at that game, then you get to have insulation from the extractive apparatus. Like, you just don't think about it. Elon Musk doesn't worry about paying his fucking electric bill. He's not worried about how much groceries cost this week. He's not thinking about any of that shit. Like, it doesn't even occur to him because he doesn't have to, because he's completely insulated from the grind of the average resource that's being extracted from. So
I had a question thinking about stuff where I know we don't really have capitalism, but we have markets and companies that know how to navigate the crony capitalism, and it's a semblance of capitalism in spirit. And meanwhile, like, let's see what's happening in New York, where there's this Democratic Socialists of America, DSA movement, or Youth Today, saying rage against the machine, and we, things aren't fair, and so we want ours. And stuff should be free, and wealthy people are what's the problem, and all this stuff. So, in the face of the system at large that we have, which is all this capital, how, what drives the engine of the economy, and financial as it is on one spectrum of it, can something like, let's just say, playing out the DSA in New York, and okay, we're gonna control and regulate all these different things about renting, landlord, tenant stuff. We're going to have grocery stores that through taxation or theft, we're going to force prices and say what things cost in a grocery store. And they're going to be lower. They're going to be fair, and lower price. And then we're going to manage all that. And I don't know, it's going to be magical. The ultimate goal would be capture and control of the means of production. I don't think that can happen. I don't know how that happens.
Well, it's already happened. I mean, like all of these things are already captured and controlled, and people mistake that for free market, but that's just an illusion, dude. It's not a real thing that exists in the world. That is a construct.
But to the level of like state control over, I mean, I know there's regulations and embedded lobbying and stuff, but I don't know. Is it captured?
Well, yeah. I mean, the whole system is captured. That's the point. Like it comes out of the gate captured. To say like Goldman Sachs isn't captured somehow, it's like, really? You really want to try and unpack that one? Good luck. To say Ford isn't captured, you want to unpack that? Good luck. This is a free market, really? Well, as you pointed out, go start a car company. Tell me how free that market is. Look what Elon Musk had to overcome to start a car company. Like, so that's a free market? Like, how come I can't just go start a car company? Oh, because you just get fucking slaughtered. Oh, okay. But it's a free market, I thought. Well, I mean, it's free as long as you can do all the things that enable free, but if you don't have the capacity to do that, then, well, you don't get to play, period, full stop. Oh, okay. So not free. No, not really. Not in any meaningful sense. Like you go, hey, I want to go start a 7-Eleven. Well, people do it all the time. Every fucking immigrant from Saudi Arabia or wherever from the Middle East comes over here and starts a fucking little market. How do they do? Pretty good. Sometimes, or sometimes they just get gobbled up or, but what are they trying to do? Well, are they ever going to compete with 7-Eleven? No. Why? I thought it was a free market. Well, it is, but, economies of scale and this and that. Blah, 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 blah. Is it captured? Well, the whole model doesn't work unless you have access to all these other things that are all state rails and state regulations and state imposed this and state imposed that. And unless you have access to all that stuff, you don't compete, period, full stop. Oh, okay. So what free market are we talking about here? Like, so it's kind of a nonsensical starting point. You go, well, what happens when some socialist wants to come in and nationalize all this shit? You go, well, they run headlong into a wall of fucking shit the other direction. And they also run a hard stop into reality, right? Like, like you can watch in California, you go, oh, these businesses are abandoning our areas because we stopped prosecuting crime. So we just made them targets of predation until they just gave up. Well, they should come back and do it anyway. Nope. Like Target didn't move back into Oakland and just open up a new store and just sit there and bleed money for no fucking reason. They just shut down their shop and moved on. And so they're going to find out the same thing in New York. Like the first thing that's going to happen is like every scammer in New York is going to come and buy cheap groceries and resell them to somebody else. And, for less than the grocery store because they can't get them from the state store because the shelves have been emptied by the people in need. And they're going to just game the shit out of that because it's just ripe for gamesmanship. So that thing is going to fail catastrophically. Like you don't have to just look at it and go, well, gee, I wonder what's going to happen. How are they going to do? It's like, it's just going to fail. It's going to be a catastrophic failure. And they're going to do everything they can to not make it embarrassing. So they're going to hide it, obfuscate it, and do all the things they can possibly do to try and hide that. But it's the same thing from the capitalist thing. Like people go, oh, we live in capitalism, free markets, this and that and the other thing. What happened when the banking system collapsed in 2008? How free were your markets? Did Goldman Sachs just go under? Did we just let all these fucking institutions fail? Or did they socialize all the losses? You go, oh, but capitalism, freedom. Okay, well, that all went out the fucking window right in front of your face. And yet people will still just go, yeah, but we still have free markets. You go, what the fuck are you talking about? On what planet do you see a free market?
Yeah.
When
we saw what happened during COVID.
Bailed out, these ostensibly conservative people, they just socialize the shit out of you. So you go, what happens when that blows up? Nothing at all fucking happened. Nothing. You took it in the shorts. You know what's going to happen in New York when the socialists take over? You're going to take it in the shorts if you happen to be a New Yorker. You know what happens when the Texans and the free market blah, blah, blahs take over in Texas? Well, you're going to take it in the shorts there too at some point. Like all those people in Houston, when their free market for energy just fucking seized up and everyone was freezing to death. You go, oh, well, what about your free market? Well, you took it in the shorts, not them. They did just fine. You were the one that was sitting there going like, oh, I can't heat my house. Or, Flint, Michigan with your water fucking pipes getting all fucked up, or every other place, the EPA environmental disasters that have occurred, or PCBs in the groundwater and all kinds of crazy shit. Like you take it in the shorts for your free market. You take it in the shorts for Monsanto. You take it in the shorts for pharmaceuticals. You take it in the shorts for insurance schemes. You take it in the shorts for fucking bank bailouts. You take it in the shorts for socialist fucking experiments that go sideways. You take it in the shorts. That's the end result. Always across the board, left, right, blue, red, whatever you want, whatever flavor you want to do, goes, what's the end result? You're going to take it in the shorts, period. And your ideology is going to scramble to find ways to explain why you're taking it in the shorts and why it's okay this time, but next time it'll be different. But it's always the same result. It always has been, always will be. So there's your answer.
Now, Bitcoin could greatly realign a lot of aspects of it.
Yeah, that's why Bitcoin is important.
Yeah, this is why Bitcoin's important. And eventually, boy, I'm so impatient about all of it. I want it to do it. But
it's happening, dude. Like like as far as an aspirational view, like the Great Realignment is an aspirational view. I think there are some game theoretic reasons why that point of view will prevail, but it's not a guarantee, right? But yeah, the idea that you go, well, you have a non-debasable asset and a non-state controlled asset that has value to a huge wide swath of people. Most notably, it has a lot of value to firms that are trying to chase debasement within their sovereign sphere. And it has a lot of appeal to commodity export nations around the world, like the banana producers and the rubber producers and the coffee producers, because they are always sending good things out and always importing debasement and inflation in. So if you can protect countries all around the world from that dynamic by holding Bitcoin or mining Bitcoin and running nodes and making sure that none of the captured core can fuck with their Bitcoin, there's a massive incentive for minor sovereigns and lesser sovereigns to adopt Bitcoin. So what happens if every country on planet Earth looks around and goes, wait a minute, we don't have to be solely reliant on SWIFT or solely reliant on the yuan or solely reliant on Brussels making the right decision. We can just kind of hold this thing and protect ourselves from the worst of their abuses. We can still use all the convenient shit, like all the coordination, all the global supply chains, all the global shipping, all the global everything. We can still tap into that network, but we can protect ourselves from the bad part of that network. So if you've got 200 countries that all decide that's a good idea at once, and they all spin up miners and they're all stacking Bitcoin like crazy because they recognize the value of having a non-sovereign granted right of exclusion to valuable property that they can exclusively control as the sovereign without any interference from anybody. It doesn't matter how many aircraft carriers you have or how many nukes you have or anything else. Can you get our Bitcoin? Nope. Because we have institutional controls in place to make sure that our Bitcoin stays our Bitcoin. And we have institutional mining in place because we subsidize mining to make sure that we always have access to that fucking network. And we can always include a transaction in that network. And we control all the nodes in this country because we want to make sure that no one can fuck with the network from where we stand. And if you've got every fucking country on planet Earth doing that, except for the United States and the Euro bloc and China, and you go, well, what happened to Bitcoin then? Well, that's a great big very, very fucking different view of Bitcoin than it is today when there's a bunch of plebs arguing about op return fucking policy.
Right.
But what happens when every firm starts waking up to the same thing? You go, hey, Ford just put Bitcoin on its balance sheet. And then 2 years from now, Ford reports record profits. And Chevy and Chrysler and everyone else is looking around going, well, what changed? Like Ford's cars didn't change. Their marketing didn't change, but they added Bitcoin. All of a sudden, they're like smoking us in the market. Oh, maybe we should put some Bitcoin on the balance sheet too. And so what happens when every corporation does that? Well, but what made that valuable to them? Was it that they could use it as money? Bitcoin is money. We're going to use it as money every day of the exchange. We're going to price our cars in Bitcoin. No, it's because they just put the fucking thing on their balance sheet. And that balance sheet is now growing in relationship to sovereign debasement that they are beholden to, and they cannot escape. They cannot get away from the sovereign apparatus and still run a business. Full stop, period. There's no like Ford's just going to move all its shit to fucking Canada because they're going to just face a different regime. There's nowhere Ford can go where they're going to avoid sovereign control. So, but they can put Bitcoin on the balance sheet. They can exclude others from taking their Bitcoin. They can exclude others from debasing their Bitcoin. And they have every incentive in the world to be mining their own Bitcoin, running their own nodes, and making sure that network keeps doing exactly what they want it to do. So what happens when every firm in every country is doing that all at once because it makes sense for them to do so? You go, what happens to Bitcoin? What happens to your life in general? What happens to the monetary system? What happens to politics? What happens to power distributions? What happens to power accumulation? What happens to all these structures that we sort of take for granted and are kind of background processes? What happens when that thing gets injected into the middle of it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a bad thing. I don't think things are going to get worse. In fact, my core thesis says things get a lot better for everybody across the board because of that. And what happens to the Bitcoin network? Does it get weaker because every country on planet Earth is running their own mining operation? Every country on planet Earth is running their own nodes, and every firm on Earth is running their own mining operation. Every firm on Earth is running their own nodes, and everybody is trying to stack not derivative products, but actual Bitcoin, because that's the thing that they can recognize as actually fundamentally going to change their balance sheet for the better. Go, what happens to Bitcoin then? What happens to mass adoption? What happens to the plebs that are going to blah, blah, blah? Like, plebs become completely irrelevant in that, but they benefit enormously if they hold UTXOs.
Yeah.
They benefit much less if it's in an ETF. You see what I'm saying? So that's so, you know, I mean, that's why I get so frustrated with the Bitcoin is money, Bitcoin is money. It's like, dude, you don't understand what the fuck you're talking about. You don't understand the depth and complexity of the entire sovereign apparatus that runs the entire globe right now. And absent any functional understanding of what that system looks like, you can't reliably predict what Bitcoin is going to do in the middle of all that. But if you just strip it down to what you can actually observe in the Bitcoin network, you can observe right now that it's a non-sovereign granted right of exclusion. That takes no third party, it takes no layer two, it takes nothing. You go, can I control my own UTXO set? Yes. Can I exclude others from interfering with that? Yes. Can I just access the network as long as I have a network connection available? And even then I might not need to. I can use a mesh network and radio and all kinds of crazy shit. There's a fucking satellite flying around that lets you broadcast transactions. You go, well, so why do I need to do everyday exchange with this when I have this incredible power in my fingertips right now behind a like a hardware wallet and some fucking seed words? You go, that's enormously powerful. And if every country and every firm on earth also recognizes how powerful that is, and they are adopting it too, then you are in rarefied air. You are one of the 20 or 30 or 50 or 100,000 or a million people that actually have self-custody of your Bitcoin. And it's now an asset that everybody on planet Earth desperately, desperately wants more of. So what happens to you personally? Fuck, great thing. As far as I'm concerned, you're a very powerful
face melter.
Yeah, face melting. So those green God candles that Sam Smell is always talking about don't seem so far-fetched if you think about the world that way.
Right.
Seem extraordinarily far-fetched if you're talking about replacing the fucking sovereign central bank monetary system. Just go, that just sounds like a fucking fairy tale. But that doesn't mean Bitcoin is irrelevant because it's not being used in the way I think it should be, because I have a really limited understanding of a thing because I just read half of the Bitcoin standard and 10 pages of fucking human action before I gave up. Like, that's not a sound basis to make monetary decisions. But from where I sit, I go, Bitcoin makes a lot of sense to me. Is it going to work out exactly the way I think it is? Probably not. Does the world end up adopting it this way and using it this way? Maybe. It's possible. It's not guaranteed. Does Bitcoin get fucked up along the way by some fucking faction doing some stupid factional fucking thing? Probably, maybe, I don't know. But if it all lines up, if all those holes in the Swiss cheese line up in your favor, you go, fuck yeah, I'm glad I made that bet. I'm glad I made that grotesquely asymmetric bet before anyone else figured out that Bitcoin is money is not a thing. Bitcoin is property that you can control and can't be debased by is an enormously powerful thing. And it's enormously powerful for a lot more people than just plebs that want to buy coffee. If that makes sense. Another rant.
Clip and post. Another one. Yeah. Perfect. Perfectly said, Tony. Tony has some real bangers too on the Bitcoin way, man. He will go. And it's just like, oh my gosh, I don't want to I want to keep listening. It's awesome. It's absolutely amazing to think about, maybe not too far off, but also very possibly inevitable of a nation state race into this property and all the things about it, and that we're not even barely there yet. When that really goes off, I mean, we're talking about hugely stronger for Bitcoin in all the different ways, larger, bigger, more protected, more decentralized, everything. And then you could get in, we'd be arguing over how decentralized it is. It decentralized enough if a few big company, like call it right now, we look at the list of miners. We're like, oh, it's all these big miners. And imagine down the road, it was like these big countries. And then there's a lot of other countries too, and we'd be arguing over the centralized nature of countries going for Bitcoin and all this stuff. But my God, it would be like nation state level.
Yeah. If you have nation state actors that are actively defending the network in their own selfish, rational self-interest, then it changes the character that you go, is it decentralized? Yeah, every country on earth. So how do you shut it down now? How many of those countries are going to be making their own processors? How many of those countries can ramp up? Because you can't build a fucking new chip plant here in the United States in any reasonable amount of time because you just got all the regulatory bullshit. But if you're some third world dictator who's got access to fucking cobalt or whatever the fuck you need for your particular silicon chips, you go, how long is it going to take him to just force people to go build a fucking factory and start cranking these things out so they can make their own miners without worrying about Chinese influence over the supply chain? Right. Oh, they can spin that up in 6 months. So cool. So they're going to just be building their own miners in their own country to make sure that their interests are protected because they carry Bitcoin on the balance sheet. I actually think it's the next bull run where this actually happens. I really do. Like
this next one.
Yeah, 100%. Someone, I think it was Vince Hodl, said, like, hey, Trump media is stacking a bunch of Bitcoin and they got a Bitcoin treasury company, blah, 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 blah. And I go, yeah, well, he goes, is this bad or is this good for Bitcoin? I go, well, how about this? Every single Trump voter in America who just loves Trump, loves what Trump does, is going to watch that treasury company 15x in the next fucking bull run right in front of their face. And they're going to go, whoa, wait a minute. Oh, that Bitcoin. Oh my God. Trump's the richest man, richest former president ever. Trump Media is one of the biggest companies in America right now because they stacked a bunch of Bitcoin. Fuck. I should have done that. I want Bitcoin too. Like, so now you've gone from a block of like techno nerds and, internet fucking keyboard warriors to half the country. Just watch some fucking company blow up. MicroStrategy is right now sitting on 840,000 Bitcoin. You can argue about whether or not he's got enough runway and does he have fiat this and what if Bitcoin price crabs sideways and yada, yada, yada. Historically speaking, I don't think Bitcoin price has crabbed sideways for 20 years. It looks like it's gone up and to the right pretty frequently. And at some point, if and when the next bull market comes and Bitcoin goes to 240,000 or 300,000, what do you think Michael Saylor's balance sheet is going to look like? Like, it's going to be fucking mind-blowing. And right now, if you go look at the big people that are stacking MicroStrategy shares, it's BlackRock. They just increased their holdings by 10, 12%, something like that. Fidelity increased their holdings by 10%. Like, all these big major firms are increasing their allocations of MicroStrategy at the whopping $93 or whatever it is per share. What do you think is going to happen to their balance sheet when Bitcoin goes to 250,000 or 300,000 in the next bull run? Even if it goes back to 180,000, what happens to their shares? They go, oh, fuck, dude. Like that MicroStrategy thing, when we were buying at $100, those things are now worth $800. Holy shit. That's a huge, like, look at our balance sheet. Look how happy our customers are. Look how happy everyone is because they're swimming in money now because they invested in MicroStrategy. How many other companies are going to look around and go, wait a minute. Do you mean to tell me right now that MicroStrategy is bigger than Apple? Yes. Do you mean to tell me right now MicroStrategy is bigger than NVIDIA? Yes.
What do they do?
What do they do? They go, well, they have a capital asset that they've allocated in this non-sovereign granted right of exclusion that they fully fucking control. They have now turned that into a levered vehicle that just prints money out of fucking thin air because people want it. Oh, cool. Should we buy MicroStrategy? Yeah, probably. Every firm is going to see the performance of these early firms in the next bull run. Every country is going to see the performance of like El Salvador's balance sheet in the next bull run. Every country on earth is going to see Bhutan's balance sheet in the next bull run. Every country on earth is going to see what happened with Iran and how they get kicked off the SWIFT system and how Russia got kicked off the SWIFT system. So they're going to see two things at once. They're going to see these massive sovereign balance sheets just exploding in value. They're going to see corporate balance sheets exploding in value, and everyone's going to want to scramble for that. They're going to want a piece of whatever it is that made that happen, because right now they don't get it. When they see the tangible results of it, they go, oh, fuck. Because, yeah, MicroStrategy grew from like a $1 billion company to a $16 or $18 billion company or whatever it is right now. What happens when it grows to like a $500 billion company or a $700 billion company? And what happens when El Salvador's 7,700 Bitcoin is now worth half their fucking state treasury? You go, fuck, dude. So if you're Banana Ecuador or you're Rubber Congo or you're any one of these little minor sovereigns, you go, why aren't we doing that? Like, what's stopping us from doing that? Because like we have all these rivers and we have all this geothermal, we got all this we got a lava pit, we got all kinds of places where we can just fucking generate electricity. And there are firms that are knocking on our door every single day saying, hey, you want to set up some Bitcoin mining? Ireland right now, there's just some research papers that, hey, all your stranded fucking wind energy, you could monetize with Bitcoin tomorrow. Our good friend from Prague is out setting up mining operations around stranded energy all over the UK. What happens when all those energy collectives suddenly start making tons and tons of money off their stranded energy? What happens? Like that, you know, when people talk about mass adoption, they think about plebs running around with 0.15 Bitcoin. I'm like, that's not what mass adoption means. Mass adoption means the people that are organizing all the plebs are now adopting Bitcoin for their own selfish reasons, right? And so I put to you, I go, in the scenario I just played out, which I don't think is like crazy. I don't think it's like insane to imagine this. I don't think it's like we're going to smash the state and crush central banking. I think that sounds a little crazy to me. I think what I just described is you're going to go, yeah, I could see that, right? Like, is it a guarantee that's the outcome that's going to manifest? No, but is it plausible? Is it comprehensible? Is it legible? You're going to go, yeah, that all kind of makes sense. So what does the world look like under that Bitcoin standard? You go, fuck, that probably be pretty fucking cool. It's like the 90s on steroids. Like,
oh yeah,
you just get like all the good and way less of the bad.
Yeah.
Does the bad go away? No. Is there still going to be some blue hairs gluing himself to the fucking street? Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, you got lucky, you Bitcoiner.
Yeah. Well, that's it, right? Like, it won't matter for you as an individual whether you got lucky or not, because if everyone around you is doing well, people don't have as much incentive to argue and fight and fuss about things. There's way less incentive to get angry if things are going well in your backyard. If when your friends come over and go, hey, did you catch the game last week? And they go, yeah, it was great. And blah, 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 blah. Hey, do you want a new fresh craft beer? Because I can afford that now. Because I don't know, the world just got better. Like,
right.
It must be because of Biden part 2. He must be the reason, you know.
President's taking credit.
Yeah.
Just imagine if instead of people hanging on every little nuanced word of the Fed chairman, if they were doing that, like they're like, the Fed just does its thing, whatever. Nobody cares anymore. We're listening to Saylor. What's Saylor saying? What's Saylor going to do? Is Saylor going to, Saylor's like the new Fed chair of the new Fed, the modern capital system.
I mean, it just in terms of a trickle down possibility, a trickle down potential, a trickle up improvement in quality of everything. You go, that sounds like the most logical thing to me, but I'm a very minority voice in this right now, best I can tell. I mean, I think people kind of grok parts of what I'm saying, but I don't think they fully grok it out like the way I'm saying it in the way I intend it. So maybe it's just my inability to construct an argument very well or something. I don't know. But I mean, to me, it sounds like a great thing that we should all be working towards, not fussing about, spam or whether or not, this or that or the other thing. It's just like, we should be showing people by stacking, you go, look what great things happen when you stack Bitcoin. Saylor's going to show that to all the corporates. El Salvador is going to show that. And El Salvador, Bhutan, and whatever other countries are stacking sats quietly in the background are going to show that to every other nation state. And sooner or later, everyone's going to have very clear examples of why Bitcoin is the superior asset to hold. You go, oh, so what would stop others from following that path? Like if you can see something is clearly working in someone else's favor and there's nothing stopping you from hopping on the same bus, why wouldn't you? Like if you're a country, why wouldn't you hop on that bus? If you just watched El Salvador like suddenly become this, transform into the Singapore of the Central America, you go, fuck. Well, we've been trying to be the Singapore of Central Africa for the last 200 years, and we've just continually get fucked by the IMF and local warlords and all this factional infighting and blah, 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 blah. But all they did was like arrest all the criminals and start stacking Bitcoin, and they dollarized. Like we could arrest all the criminals, we can stack some Bitcoin and dollarize, and can we do that too? Yeah, why not? Like why wouldn't you? So everything in El Salvador is getting enormously better for the people who live in El Salvador compared to 10 years ago. And I think once the next bull market comes and everyone looks around and goes, oh shit, El Salvador is really a rich country now because they were stacking Bitcoin. You go, well, don't you want that for your country too, Venezuela or Costa Rica or Mexico or Guatemala? A
lot of those other adjacent countries have talked to Bukele and consulted, and our little seeds are being planted. They're like on the periphery, looking at it, thinking about it, dealing with their own problems, and they just start biting. Like, what's stopping us from just, what does it take? A little courage, a little conviction, just, a little more knowledge.
Conviction arrives after you see results.
Yeah. Just they'll start doing it and one after another. And then I can see a domino effect of like, oh, the Overton window has shifted. I understand a new paradigm. Why are we not doing this? Yeah. And all of a sudden, woo. Gradually,
then suddenly, right?
Yeah.
So that's why, my conservative, people, well, when is this going to happen? When is it going to change for the better? Blah, 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 blah. Well, you're never going to see Bitcoin become the global monetary asset, like for everyday exchange and unit of account. Like I don't think that'll ever happen. I don't think it's possible without, you have to have layer 2, layer 3 intermediaries, different rails, blah, 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 blah. Base chain Bitcoin can't do that. Like that is not a controversial thing to say. That's just an observable fact. You get 7 transactions per second in 10-minute confirmation times. You go, well, can you scale any global economy on that? No, 0 fucking chance. It's impossible. Like it just mechanically can't happen. So pining for that outcome, I think is, a bit of fancy sloganeering, but what you can observe is the thing I've just outlined. I go, well, I think all of this can absolutely happen on the base chain, and it can absolutely do what I think it is likely to do. And I think the next bull run is going to be a strong proving ground, especially if the next bull run coincides with another mass debasement event, like some banking fracture or some war or whatever it is, or even just Social Security collapsing, whatever it is, like there's going to be some big print that's coming. And when it does, all those people that are holding Bitcoin right now are going to fucking moon, dude. Like it's going to be just insane to watch. And from that moment forward, everyone who's not getting Bitcoin on their balance sheet is going to get left fucking way, way, way far behind. So why wouldn't Bitcoin become a mass adopted thing at that moment in time? And why wouldn't your 0.1 sats or 0.1 Bitcoin or 0.5 Bitcoin or 1 Bitcoin or whatever it is you control, why wouldn't that become enormously valuable to the people that are trying to stack it now? Like all of these things can happen, and I don't see the thing that's going to prevent that from happening. I see a lot of signs pointing the other direction where it will happen, but
Yeah, I think it'll happen. I think it'll be surreal.
Yeah, it's going to be dope.
When I'm an old man, I should say an older man, and I just imagine telling my kids or grandkids or things in the news, things they're talking about, questions and things. And and this can be this way for many topics, but man, particularly with the time and energy thought process put into Bitcoin in my life and kids and people, when I'm old and people are like talking about it and seeing it and asking questions, and I'll just have this like mental, I'll just be like in this surreal mode of like, wow. The tales to tell, the crazy grandpa stories, like things that, like, you know, my grandpa going through World War II and coming back, and he wouldn't talk about it, but every once in a while when he said something, it was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, tell us more about France and Poland and Germany.
Yeah.
Because it was just like, and he would just, for him, it was like, oh yeah, World War II. And not exactly like that, but with Bitcoin, it'll be like, oh yeah, wow, what do I say? Like, it'll be crazy. I'm just imagining like, oh yeah, back in the day. God, there was a chain fork back in 2026. Like, wow.
Yeah, there was a chain fork in 2017. And I think there was a chain fork like 3 days after Bitcoin was born. So, I mean,
yeah. Oh my gosh, all these things that just it'll be like ancient history of like what Bitcoin is at that point and what the journey Bitcoin has taken. And back when I would just zap for likes on Nostr, you know, and wow, crazy.
Yeah. Like, gee, Grandpa, did you really pay someone $50,000 for a tweet that you liked? Yep. Yeah, it's gonna be kind of crazy, man. So I don't know. Well, I've managed to drag this into a 2-hour episode. Yeah.
For most of my life, I was crazy. In fact, your grandma knew that I was just nuts. She almost divorced me, you know, but she didn't know that we were going to be
what I figured out.
The royalty. She knows I'm a king now.
Exactly.
She knows I'm a genius now.
Right. Oh yeah.
But that took until 2040.
I don't even think it'll be 2040, dude. I think by 2030. I think before Social Security goes insolvent, we will see a sea change in how capital is allocated around the world. I think Michael Saylor is gonna be having the last laugh here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all these other companies, the ones that can stay solvent. Yeah. Or, you know, Bitcoin collapses and turns into pedocoin, like Luke says.
Bitcoin crashes under the weight of all the spam. Stops working.
Yeah. You know. Anyway.
Well,
that note.
Amazing. Oh yeah. Let me where should I put this? I'm gonna share a screen and play your ad.
My ad? When are you going to make a new ad, Fritz? You do ads better than I do.
Well, mine, I haven't updated mine. I could play mine. Mine are funny.
Yeah. Good stuff. Johnny, it's always great to see you, sir. I hope you're on the mend. I hope you're getting better. Hope them dancing shoes are almost ready to be back on your feet.
Back to the yoga classes with the young hot ones.
Yeah. Go get your Pilates in, you know, make sure you have your matcha tea and
yeah. Okay.
Don't forget to dye your hair blue.
And take self-custody. Self-custody is as alive as ever under a new social awareness about entropy. Take self-custody. Own your Bitcoin. And if you're going to do that, stamp it. Stamp it on steel. All right. Bye, everybody. As a Bitcoiner, you know that taking self-custody is critically important. But if you've ever had a seed phrase, you've probably had it written down on something kind of like this. You can hide it or secure it, but paper burns, paper fades, paper gets wet, paper rots, paper blows in the wind. Paper has things written on it that might look important. So get off paper and get yourself a MicroSeed at microseed.io. Get the kit and crank out all the keys you'll ever need forever.